Hey everybody, Hoosier Jedi here with a few thoughts on Avengers Infinity War. Again, not a quite proper review, just a few thoughts on the movie. So the way we're going to do this, I'm just going to offer up some general thoughts on the movie, and then I'll move into stuff involving spoilers. I'll of course give you a warning before I move into that, although why in the world you would be watching this if you hadn't already seen the movie is beyond me. So if you're a regular on my channel, you know that I live in Japan. And one of the nice things about going to the movie theater here is there's often like a little shop out in the lobby where you can go and buy goods for the movie. And whenever a Marvel movie comes out, I always like to go out and pick up a little something. And I did that for Infinity War. So I picked up this. These are both clear files, they're called. And they're just sort of used for storing papers. Kind of like a folder, but a little more fancy. These make for nice souvenirs because you can get these for like less than $5, and they look pretty cool. This one's really nice. In fact, I think it's even kind of tagged with the Infinity Stones. That's such a nice little touch. And here you have the thing of Thanos all by himself. And there's other goodies they have out there in the lobby. I was really tempted by keychain with the Infinity Gauntlet on it, but and also just for the fun of it, seriously thought about getting this really cute Captain America, like cutesy faced Captain America pillow. I don't know why I thought about it. I just found it immensely funny, along with the Avengers Mr. Potato Head keychains. But anyway, so here it is, Infinity War. This is basically what Marvel has been building to for literally 10 years. And oh my god, this is such a fantastic movie. I mean, it's really, I think, in a lot of ways, everything we could have really wanted. Not that there aren't a few flaws here and there, but it's really, really good. And of course, you have just this insane mix of like all of the great actors that they have gotten together for these movies. I mean, of course, not everybody, but there's something like 60 different characters. And this really does feel like an amazing culmination and a reasonably faithful adaptation of Infinity Gauntlet, which is one of the all-time great Marvel stories. Now, just so you know, I have in fact read Infinity Gauntlet. It is truly an amazing story. I haven't read the sequels, Infinity War and Infinity Crusade, mostly because those did not have really good reputations. The perception I always got of those was like Marvel tried to go back to the well and, you know, tap into the success of something previously, and it just didn't really go over well with the fans who pretty much saw it as a cheap cash grab. That's just kind of how things were in the 90s. But anyway, I don't think anybody can deny that, I mean, this movie is just, the amount of star power is truly stunning. Josh Brolin, amazing as Thanos. Very different than his take in the comics, where he's very much, and is even described in Infinity Gauntlet, as a nihilist. Here, Thanos' motives are notably different, but still very interesting, and he really is a very well fleshed out character. So, also really some great stuff with Iron Man. I think, Tony Stark really is, in a lot of ways, the linchpin of this version of the Marvel Universe. And of course, it's Robert Downey Jr. and the first Iron Man movie with Jon Favreau that really kicked everything off and made all of this possible. So it makes sense. And fun moments with Spider-Man. I mean, it's just like, they really, really just nail all that is good about these Marvel movies, and just absolutely cranked it up to 11. So I think that's really what I can really kind of get at without getting into some spoilers. So let's just kind of get right into it. So here's your warning: 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so of course this movie ends with Thanos winning. I mean, that's basically what happens in the story. I mean, he does win. He literally snaps his fingers, kills off half of the living beings in the universe. And you see that moment happen. Like, the heroes just sort of look around like, hey, there were a whole bunch of us a minute ago. What the heck happened? And in the comics, they're just gone. There is no moment of like, what the heck is happening to me? Oh no, 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 don't. And it's just they're gone. They're 1 second gone the next. And in a medium like comics, I think that was a powerful choice. No, not that they couldn't have done it the way they did in the movies, but the movies, being live action, being people, they can really just sell the humanity of the moment, I think, more. Um, Comics being the more visual medium, I think just that moment of, and it's over. I think that was a smart choice and a one that worked really well under the circumstances. And just sort of watching it all happen and going like, oh my gosh, you're watching this and you're like, which of the heroes is going to be next? Like, you don't expect it to be T'Challa. You don't expect Rocket to be the only one of the Guardians to make it. You don't expect Spider-Man, who's, the new guy on the block, to be one of the people who's taken out. But then you just watch him vanish there in Tony's arms, apologizing to Tony. A guy who, previously in Spider-Man Homecoming had been very adamant that, like, hey, I'm not interested in some kind of like pseudo father-son relationship, kid. We don't have that kind of relationship. While here, Tony is extremely concerned for Peter's safety at all times. And, here in that movie, he holds Peter as he's dying, essentially. And you can tell that this is not something that Tony is going to take lying down. Also, got to take a moment to just touch again on Benedict Cumberbatch as Doctor Strange. Oh my God, putting those two together, that was just some glorious stuff. It was so funny just to watch these two guys butt heads with each other, because it really is funny just how amazingly similar they are. And I gotta say, I went to the movie when it's, this being Japan, I can go to the movie and I can watch this with Japanese subtitles, and it's always interesting to see how certain things get translated. It was funny. I was watching like them, and like Doctor Strange at one point called Tony a douchebag, and it went by too quickly. But all I could make was like in Japanese was like shit something. I was like, oh man, I think what he called him in Japanese might actually have been worse. Um, but yeah, um, so much other stuff in this episode was great. I mean, we have this really touching thing between the Vision and Scarlet Witch. We have, the Peter Quill finally getting to talk to somebody from Earth who gets his pop culture references, and his relationship with Gamora. And I absolutely love the fact that after their conversation, when it came down to it, when he thought he had no choice, Peter really would have killed her. I was just so happy about that, because so many times you see in stories like this, like, okay, if it looks like if it looks like the worst is about to happen, kill me, and then the hero chokes at the end, and it's just like, oh my God, that's the biggest cliche ever. But here, that's not what happens. And it's funny that like that earns Thanos' respect. He even kind of says, "I like you." I mean, people have pointed out it's sort of like he's giving his approval to his daughter's boyfriend. That was such a nice moment. And of course, in my mind, the best moment of the movie was when Gamora realizes that Thanos really does love her. And, in so many movies, when someone realizes that this father figure that they have this really difficult relationship with actually really did love them, it's a great and heartwarming moment. Here, it's really a moment of horror. That means that, yeah, Thanos loves her, but that means that she is worthy as a sacrifice. that he will kill her, and then he will go on to kill half the universe because of her. And there's basically nothing Gamora can do about it. Her mere existence has helped doom the universe, or at least half the universe, and that's what she gets to think about it right before she dies. Damn. Of course, Thanos' whole philosophy of the universe has only finite resources. Okay, true. Populations, yada yada yada. There's only so many people, and so many resources. Well, again, this is all true, but it does ignore the fact that the universe is ever expanding, and it's just like, do you realize like how much of the universe is not inhabited? That then again, he could just be referring to habitable worlds and such like that. Basically, what I'm saying here is that there's one theory in science that if there were aliens and they could travel around and do go to other planets and all this, an interplanetary civilization, that they would have had advanced technology to the point where compete like the basic competing for resources would not really be an issue. That they wouldn't really be dealing with issues like hunger, for example. Lacking in, they would have the ability to make all the food that they wanted. I mean, just to kind of give you an example, today I was reading on Reddit where they had found a way to basically create artificial beef for like an entire cow's worth of beef, growing this meat in a lab in about 2 weeks. Now, of course, growing animals for food is one of the biggest uses of arable land in the world. It's an enormous hog on resources, and of course, it creates some rather unfortunate byproducts. But here, it looks like we might be on the verge of finding a way to deal with that. Now, whether or not people are really going to truly embrace lab-grown meat, I don't know about that. Me personally, I'd be like, well, I'll give it a try once you've done enough tests that I know it's safe, but I don't know. I've eaten the real thing all my life, but still. What I'm saying here is that, to me, Thanos' thinking really doesn't make sense to me, given my understanding of science and just my own personal philosophy, which, admittedly, this whole thing is about Thanos' personal philosophy. And he does have his reasons. I mean, competition for resources is what destroyed his home world. So he has to figure, well, if it can happen on a place like Titan, then it can happen anywhere. In fact, it's probably inevitable. There's nothing I can do about it. All I can really do is help cull things back down to a manageable level. And the way he does it seems to be completely random. Just 50-50 chance that you live or die. No favoritism, just, the god of numbers at the end of the day. So it is not impossible to have some sympathy for him, but again, it just doesn't really seem to me that his view made sense, at least from my perspective. I mean, but at the end of the day, that's really sort of nuts and bolts sciences. Emotionally, why he feels this way, and emotionally why he does what he does, it makes sense. And really, at the end of the day, if you can do that, then I think most audiences will be very forgiving towards you. Let's see, what else? Boy, I mean, there's just so much stuff. But yeah, I absolutely loved Tony and Bruce being reunited. That was really cool. It's really kind of funny. Like Doctor Strange appears out of a magic portal, and Tony is more surprised by Bruce popping up behind him. I mean, and of course you can't forget about all the characters in the movie who die. I mean, of course, Loki probably being the biggest gut punch of them all. Although, I mean, I knew what was coming with Gamora. Apparently, what people have said in behind the scenes at Marvel is that the people who die in these Infinity War movies will stay dead. Now, of course, I don't think they're going to leave the people like Spider-Man. I don't think they're going to leave Spider-Man dead. I think we could probably take that to mean people not killed by the Infinity Gauntlet will remain dead. So that would include Loki, that would include Heimdall, probably. Well, I don't know about Gamora. I mean, it kind of feels like they would find some way to sort of cheat on that one a little bit. I don't know. Maybe it depends on just how strictly you interpret all of that, but I wouldn't surprise me if they cheat with her one way or the other and let her come back. But yeah, they're totally not going to leave Rocket as the only remaining member of the Guardians. Oh yeah, and I totally did not know Peter Dinklage was in this movie. So, he gets to join the list of people who've appeared in more than one Marvel movie, um, playing totally different characters. Okay. I mean, I'm always up for more Peter however you say his name. Yeah. He's a cool as hell actor, and we're of course always excited to see him. God, I'll say, loved what they did with that little moment with Winter Soldier and Rocket. That was great, so great. Where you think Thor's about to flip out and go into a rage, and suddenly he's all nice and empathic with Gamora. He's like, "Hey, you know what? I totally get where you're coming from." Oh man, Chris Helmsworth is really, really great as Thor. He does a lot better when he's got a good script. That's no doubt about it. That's one of the reasons why I really did not like Thor 2. Well, that and I came close to being hit by a car on the way home from Thor 2. If you want to know the full story on that one, go watch my Thor 2 review. But yes, totally, totally did happen that I genuinely thought my life might be in danger on the way home from that movie. Yeah, like I said, guys, I've been at this for about 20 minutes, so I guess we should wrap this up. All in all, Infinity War does have some flaws here and there, but it's a really, really great movie, especially if you've been very invested in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and if you're just an old-time fan of the comics and you know this story. While it is in many ways very different, the core of what makes Infinity Gauntlet one of the truly great Marvel epics, one of the all-time great comic book epics. It's in there, and the power and what makes the Marvel universe, all these different elements, sci-fi, magic, um, you know, cosmic characters, local friendly neighborhood heroes, all in the same mix together, dealing with potentially interacting with each other. I mean, it's all there. Anyway, guys, it's all there. It's great. This movie is amazing. So I'm going to call it. As always, please comment, rate, subscribe. Of course, you can follow me on Twitter at Hoosier Jedi, and also join me on Tumblr at Jedi Reviewer. Until next time, take care and have a good one.